Dentistry is not expensive. Neglecting dental care can be very, very expensive. Another myth in dentistry that absence of pain doesn't mean things are fine.
Right.
In our country, for the longest time, one only visits the dentist when there is pain.
Right.
And sometimes that's too late.
Right.
So it is assumed by patients sometimes that because I'm older, should be wiser and should be a more able clinician than them. And I don't think that's true.
If you're not a dentist, what would you be? Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Shining Tooth, a podcast where our endeavor is to bring real conversations for you from the world of dentistry. I'm Dinesh, and today I'm diving into the real insights, experiences, and evolving landscape of dental care in India and abroad. Today, we are having with us Dr. Aneesh Katyal, great dentist, extraordinary speaker, and a key opinion leader in the area of Invisalign and clear aligner orthodontics. With Dr. Aneesh with us, let's get started and discover what it takes to develop trust with the patients, deliver extraordinary patient outcome, and grow in this hyper competitive and overcrowded dental space in India.
Hi, I'm Dr. Aneesh Katyal, an orthodontist by passion and profession. I run, along with 6 other doctors, the award-winning dental practice AK Global Dent, spread across 2 locations in Gurgaon, on Golf Course Road and in Worldmark.
Hi, Dr. Anish. Thanks
Hi.
for taking out time and joining us for the very first episode of Shining Tooth. I'm sure we are going to have a great discussion and our audience will benefit with your insights. Let's start with you. Many of the audiences want to know more how you have created your journey and contributing significantly to the dental ecosystem. Did you choose dentistry or dentistry has chosen?
I think it's a bit of both. I hail from a family of doctors. Being part of the medical profession was something which I wanted to be a part of. Dentistry is that unique profession where I think science meets artistry, and where you can make tangible impacts in the lives of people, not just with your knowledge, but with your hands. And it is one of those unique professions which delivers instant human impact, changing the confidence of people and meaningful impact in their day-to-day lives. I think that's what drew me to dentistry.
Certainly, you change the aesthetics of the human being, which is other than God, only the dentist can do.
That's very
right.
kind of you to say. Yeah.
So, what is other than this part of this your profession which excites you most?
I don't think dentistry is just limited to creating smiles. Of course, that's the most obvious thing that people would gravitate towards. There is such a large human component to our day-to-day lives as professionals. You have to build relationships with your patients. A lot of patients walk in with fear and anxiety. It won't just cut it if you do a great job clinically.
Right.
Because that part comes second. You first have to comfort them in this new environment. So building that personal rapport is something that's very important in our field, and who is really about interpersonal relationships, personally and professionally. So this is where I feel my personal and professional lives intertwine in terms of building those one-to-one relationships with people. And I think that's what I love the most about my field.
So I tell to my team all the time that the likability supersedes credibility.
For sure.
So you're credible and likable both. And I can say it having known to you for last 2.5 years, professionally and personally too. One thing about the dentist you want to break here.
Dentistry is not expensive. Neglecting dental care can be very, very expensive.
Right.
Dentistry, like I said and I alluded to earlier, is not just about putting smiles and about teeth. It is about interpersonal relationships, the human to human contact and touch. And a myth about dentists themselves: we love our sweets too. We do indulge a lot.
Right.
Hopefully, we do know a thing or two about taking care of our teeth afterwards.
Right. Right. Yeah. So coming with this point only, since teeth are something which is still perceived as not the healthcare in India. So do you think in dentistry still people can, or the dentist can make decent earnings or money?
So I think without realizing, we've touched upon another myth in dentistry, that absence of pain doesn't mean things are fine.
Right.
In our country, for the longest time, one only visits the dentist when there is pain.
Right.
And sometimes that's too late. And now coming back to the commercial aspect, one has to set one's own ceiling as to what is enough. And commercial success is something which is always relative. So you have to set your own bar, so to speak. If you're doing good quality work and valuing the human being that is the patient that walks in, so there's always a person behind that smile. As much as you want to focus on the smile and the output, never lose sight on the person behind the smile.
Certainly, this input will help many of our audiences who are aspiring dentists to imbibe something which is very intangible but very important in dental practice. One of our dinner meeting where you said that you hire the best of the human being, not the best of the dentist. So when I just implemented this philosophy in my organization, a lot of things have changed.
So if I can just add to that, like people talk of what's a secret sauce or something sometimes. I can't be good at everything by myself, but together as a team, I believe there's nothing that we can't be the best at.
It means a lot when we are working as a team, since many champions are not sometime making the best of the team. Right?
True.
Team. Now, when the dentists are making the career, many want to replicate the careers like yours. Many will love to make a career while working in the large hospitals or DSOs, right?
Correct.
How do you see both the career journeys?
First of all, thank you so much for being so kind and generous. Corporate practices and chains are good because they have structures and SOPs in place.
Right.
A lot of discipline because they are operating at scale. And the only way you can operate at scale is to have SOPs so that it runs like a well-oiled machine. So young graduates who come out who don't necessarily have exposure to running a dental practice or don't have that administrative acumen from the get-go, they would benefit a lot from being part of these corporate DSOs in the early days. And then, of course, once you have your own setup, the freedom that comes with running your own show, it's very enticing. But I can also say that there is never a switch-off moment when you are running your own ship. It comes with a lot of administrative responsibilities, so you have to don many hats. In a DSO setup, you can do your job as a clinician and observe how the organization is running administratively and imbibe.
Right.
But when you're on the other side, where you're a clinician as well as the business head, so to speak, or the entrepreneur running the practice, you have to don all hats.
So being Aneesh Katyal come with a cost, right? And the cost is stress.
Yes.
It is very strenuous job, right?
Yeah.
Since I have seen you setting up your second clinic, the kind of the precision, kind of the detailing you have gone through.
Yeah.
And the way you create kind of the entire patient experience, that is also a very strenuous job. And it is not a one-day job. How do you manage this? How do you juggle with all the balls? Sometimes KOL, sometimes speaker, sometimes dentist, sometimes administrator, and sometimes a friend and a colleague, right?
Yeah.
A lot of roles, and at family, at home, you are different, right?
For sure. I always wanted to be a dentist. I always wanted to be an orthodontist.
Right.
So at the age of 16, I knew I want to get into dentistry to become an orthodontist. When you are doing something out of passion and by choice, you don't feel that it's a task. It just becomes a way of life and your routine. At the same time, you don't want that routine to look so mechanical and robotic that you fall out of love with it or you become bored of it. When a patient walks in and leaves, they walk in anxious, stressed, or at the end of their 2-year-long journey, whether it's braces or Invisalign, anything, when they look at themselves in the mirror and that glowing smile that they get, that newfound confidence that they get, I think that drives me a lot. That dentistry has changed a lot from back in the day being jack of all and master of none. It worked beautifully.
Right.
And now with speciality-based practice, you have to surround yourself with specialists. And when I say surround yourself with specialists, I don't just mean clinicians. There are tasks for every layer of a dental practice that runs, be it a very on point, thinking out of the box, front desk manager. I don't think the word receptionist does justice to what they do. They're actually managing the practice, what they do. So I think if that's filtered down to everyone in the organization and everyone takes care of what they need to, it does take away a lot of the stress. And delegation is very important. And you can only delegate if you have the ability to trust people.
Right.
So I try to do that a lot, and that does help me with what you said, like all the different roles.
Yeah,
and I love teaching. Because you spoke of KOL also.
Yes. Now coming back to a very pertinent thing.
Okay.
Since you decided to become a dentist at the age of 16,
Yeah.
and fortunately you are a dentist and one of the prominent dentists. Many people are not able to achieve what they thought of in the early years or in teens. So you're lucky that way.
Very. I really consider myself very lucky and privileged. Yeah.
Yes. If you're not a dentist, what would you be?
Tough question though, because I can't imagine professionally life without dentistry right now. It's just so much a part of my professional and personal life. That's not to say that as dentists we don't have lives outside of work. So please don't think that and get demotivated in any way.
So Dr. Aneesh is having a good life everywhere.
Yeah. So I think it then again comes back down to how much I value interpersonal relationships. So in my different roles as a dentist or as an entrepreneur running two practices, as an educator traveling and interacting with my fellow colleagues, peers, seniors also. That's very humbling sometimes when you have colleagues and seniors who are 2, 3 decades older than me also part of an audience which I'm teaching. So that's very humbling. You're meeting people on a day-to-day basis, not just your patients. If not a dentist, I would definitely be doing something which is having touch points with human beings on a day-to-day level. You know, something that gives me a kick is changing the lives of people in an impactful, tangible way. I would see myself doing that.
So we must say that in this way that if not dentistry, you would have been impacting the people the similar way, irrespective of the industry.
Sure, you can put it that way for sure.
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect. And that is the motive of the healthcare. The kind of the impact a healthcare professional puts on the lives of the human being, that is something special.
I think we have such a huge superpower as dental professionals, and I would, at the expense of being a little biased towards my own speciality, as orthodontists, to actually transform smiles and change lives day to day.
Yes.
You get the unique opportunity to just change someone's sense of self-confidence. I have had so many instances and such gratifying stories to tell where patients walk in, they are seeking matrimonial partners and they can't even put their photographs out there on these portals because of how their malocclusion is. And 15 months later, you get invited to their weddings or their engagements. So it's just so gratifying.
Yeah, I have seen in the kids particularly. Nowadays, if you change the smile, the way the confidence is elevated, it is altogether different.
True.
Now, if we go a little deeper, and the purpose of knowing you more today, can you run us through your journey as a human and professional from your childhood days to your college, BDS, MDS, and then how did you start your practice?
Hail from a family of doctors, so now we'll get a little more. Dad is a cardiologist and internist. Mother is a gynecologist. I have an elder sister who's specially abled person. So very early in life, I transitioned from being the younger brother to the elder sibling because of the dynamic and nature of that equation. As a family, we all firmly believe that she is actually the lucky charm of the family. And she teaches us how to be grounded, how to be happy and content with just be surrounded with love of people around and not be that materially driven. I think those formative years shape you as a human being. Then I went through my own phase of orthodontic treatment for 4 years. I do thank my mom for it because at the time I didn't have that conversation as to why I'm getting braces. But I'm glad I did because I've been told I do have half decent smile. So thanks mom for that. So then I chose dentistry, and I think my parents, being doctors themselves, realized that it's not just about going to a good college, but it's also about getting hands-on experience. They literally went all over India and visited about 25 dental colleges and picked a few where they would like me to study, provided I got the grades, which luckily I did. So then I picked the college of my choice. That's where I met my mentor for the very first time, the late Dr. Krishna Nayak. And I always tell anyone who knows me as a professional or even knows me a little bit closely knows, I always say I had two fathers. My own biological father and Dr. Krishna Nayak. He has shaped me professionally and personally and the largest impact on my life. And he took me under his fold as an 18-year-old. And 9 years later, I left Mangalore as an orthodontist. I worked with him at his practice also. So everything that people get from me, professionally at least, and a lot personally, comes from him.
And fortunately, you had a good mentor.
Right? Yeah.
Then you came from Bangalore and you started your practice history, or you started working with someone here in Gurgaon?
Yeah. So I had the, like I said, the great opportunity to run along with him his dental practice in Mangalore.
Okay.
So I was a postgraduate student by day and used to work with him at his practice in the evenings.
Okay.
So I saw firsthand, arguably one of the largest and most established legacy generational practices in Karnataka, which was his. So for 3 years, I was there seeing that. So when I finished my MBS, in my mind, I was ready to just hit the ground running. But of course, it's not that easy to set up practices. It's a very capital intensive process.
Right.
And my youngest aunt is an endodontist and implantologist. So I worked with her. And again, she's also been instrumental in my professional career because when she set up her practice in New Friends Colony, she could have kept an orthodontist when the practice started, but I hadn't finished my MDS. So for about 6-7 months, she didn't keep an orthodontist so that because she knew her nephew was going to come out soon.
Right.
And had the patients ready and lined up. And a great practice because she had experience of working in the UK for about 10 years. So I learned a lot of SOPs and the obsession about hygiene and sterilization. Seeing her practice soon after my MDS, it was great exposure. So did that for about a year and a half, and then we started our first practice in 2017, and that's when I first had my first professional interaction with DER, incidentally also. And
They started the practice just before COVID, right? Around
2017,
couple of years,
3 years back. I've been told it was quite a gamble because we opened inside a mixed-use retail and commercial space with zero visibility on the front road. So no outside visibility. A building and mall at the time, it was pretty run down at the time, or not say run down, it was not too active or buzzing during the day. It had a lot of restaurants and breweries, which, as we all know, only come to life post 7 o'clock, which is when we shut our clinics.
Right.
But literally, word of mouth became the only fallback. And that's what we say, that you're only as good as your last patient. So if you treat each patient with that philosophy, then I think word does get around.
Okay. So what was the biggest challenges which you are facing when you just started the clinic?
The perception is that you're too young. You're too young to be sitting in a practice like that. If you're not appearing a little older and wiser, you can't be a good and able clinician. So I think that is something which every young dentist goes through.
Right.
And as we speak, even dentists in our organization would go through, because then the comparison sometimes becomes that I am the older person in the organization. So it is assumed by patients sometimes that because I am older, should be wiser and should be a more able clinician than them. And I don't think that's true. I would put out there and all the people watching here that I don't consider myself as the best clinician in the organization. I'm good at many things, but so are the other doctors in the organization. And some of them have skill sets and excel in some things which I do not. So that's the challenge that every young dentist faces, is the fact that they are young.
Right.
And they have to fight that.
This is the biggest myth you have broken here today. For the audience, particularly aspiring dentists, the dentists across the country who have been practicing over the year have contributed significantly to the dentistry over the period of time. But what I have seen in my last 3 years in this industry, young dentists who are in the age bracket of say around 30 to 40, they are bringing a lot of innovation. They are very passionate about their practice, and they are eager to invest in developing their capability and even in the technology and offering the best of the patient care to the Indian population. This is amazing. However, I just want to learn a little more about 2 years into the practice.
Yeah.
And I believe the biggest humanitarian crisis,
Right.
which is COVID,
Right.
came in hitting you. I believe you might be just developing the practice
Yeah.
and enjoying few of the months, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden this crisis came in.
Yeah.
Right. I believe no challenge can be bigger than this challenge.
Since you touch upon the challenges faced by our practice, and I still think, I won't say we're a fledgling practice, but as you said, first couple of years is just formative.
Right.
And as they say, and as I hear from people who are in business, and I'll just speak in Hindi shortly, कि 1000 दिन देने चाहिए business को,
Right.
किसी भी काम को. Should give 1000 days to something new.
Right.
It roughly translates to 3 years.
Right.
Little less.
Yes.
So that's when, just when you cross that barrier of 1000 days, you get COVID. And at a personal level, COVID also coincided with my daughter being just 4 months old at the time. So here you are confronted with a situation where we all know what happened during COVID and lockdowns and practices shut down. Not only are you now accountable and responsible for your staff and doctors, but 4 month old at home, making sure that standard of life, that living that you wanted, aspired to give to your family and child doesn't drop during that time. That's when it truly hits you that so many households were being run by the practice. Whether they should be part of those, that huge migration of workers that we saw going back to their respective states. Are you going to put your staff through that, or are you going to stand up for them? And that's when I also realized the dependency that I had on dentistry per se. I don't think I've yet diversified from that as another vertical of income yet. But that's when you realize that how dependent you are on your practice, and dentistry being the only provider, not just for you, but for your people who work for you and with you. I always say no one in our practice works for me, we all work together.
Right.
I always say and introduce our practice as it's a group practice with 7 doctors and all that. And then COVID is fine. Then another black swan event happened in our practice just as we started coming out of COVID. The building where we first practice is located had a fire in one of the breweries, and complete devastation of the building. Black soot everywhere in the clinic, and a shutdown of the clinic for 3 to 4 months again. So we have gone through tremendous challenges, and I would say, a lot of headwinds as obstacles. And I think those times of adversity really test you. And it is when the fire happened is when I took a call that you can't just be dependent on one practice. And that's when the seedlings of having the second practice at least started coming to my mind.
Great. So this is a good message to the aspiring dentist. Challenges are inevitable and they come as surprises. It is not only patient footfall, personal level challenges. The challenges are coming as a natural calamities sometime, like COVID and fire in the clinic, which is very rare. But what makes you unstoppable, Dr. Aneesh, in spite of all that?
Making it sound like I did something heroic by coming through these obstacles. Nature and God has their way of sending people in the form of angels. And one of our very close friends, doctor friends who are consultants in our practice, had just set up their own practice about 3-4 months prior to this fire incident. And they opened the doors to their practice. And for 3 months, we just shifted some of our equipments and materials which were intact, one of the scanners, and we literally operated our practice. So huge shout out to Dr. Athriya and Dr. Aishwarya who did that for us.
Now coming to a point when we met first time, and that was kind of a commercial discussion.
Yeah.
So my team has tired you, and then we had to come together on a table where we had to finalize something big. Since you were coming up with the new clinic,
Yes.
a lot of emotions and other things.
For sure.
Sometime I was getting confused whether you're architect, engineer, or dentist yourself, right? But one thing which really confused me, what I have seen in last 3-4 years of my existence in this industry, people buy the things which are optically visible to the patients.
True.
Right. They invest heavily on personal branding since dentistry is a part of cosmetic industry, you can say.
Sure.
The dentists want to look very fancy. They buy fancy cars, they set up fancy clinics, but a lot of things which are very core to clinic, they are not as fancier as they should be, which improve the patient outcomes.
I agree.
What I realize, you are having fanciness for everything, But your biggest investment was going into the core products which are invisible to the patients,
True.
but which are creating the real impact and the patient outcome when you are treating to the patient.
True.
From where did you get this motivation? And they were really big investment, right? The kind of the investment you made, you
Yes.
could have gone to a compromise technology or the product,
Yes.
and I'm sure you would have been driving the fancier cars in Gurgaon today, right? Saving that money.
I have no qualms in saying I drive my dad's hand-me-down vehicle, so that's perfectly fine. Because I think investment into the workplace is never a bad investment, first of all. And you alluded to investing in machinery which is behind the scenes.
Right.
Optically, the facade can look great, the clinic can look great optically to look at. But at the end of the day, the patient is coming for a treatment.
Right.
So, how best can you deliver the best version of treatment to them, not just as a clinician? The accomplice for you as a clinician are the materials you use and the machinery you use. And sometimes that machinery can break down. So unless you invest in robust appliances that ensures that they literally work like workhorses, we have
Yes.
everything that
Yes.
you offer as a product portfolio. We have all of it.
Right.
Not to sound commercial in any way, and I'll talk with complete transparency here. A lot of the value systems of an organization like Der Dental resonates. Coming from a European background, the focus is on engineering. The focus is never on marketing.
Yeah, right.
What I want to stress on here is that the focus on the product. So that applies every day in your practice. That you can package and market something and make it look better and larger than life. Your treatment, which is our product, doesn't talk for itself. Then all the marketing and social media and Instagram can get people through the door. The front end of my job is delivering the best product or the best form of treatment for my patients, because then they are going to be word of mouth referral generators. Like,
As a dentist, as a professional, do you invest on your personal branding?
I think a little differently or have a little difference in opinion on how typically large dental practices are run. And I see it in our country, I see it abroad also. More often than not, and you can correct me, and I think the audience can be their own judge. Most practices run with a dentist
Yes.
as the cult figure.
Yes.
And they do have amazing teams,
Right.
but most of the times the teams are anonymous.
Right.
And that cult figure, which is the primary dentist or the owner of the business,
Right.
or the main person, is the one that attracts and draws the patients primarily.
Right.
And that is a form of personal branding and investment that they're doing. And that's perfectly fine.
Right.
Leadership has two styles. One is a pyramidal approach, and in a pyramid at the top, how many people can stand at the apex of a pyramid? One person, two max, right? Or you can have a lateral approach where you've provided a platform, such as the two practices, for gifted clinicians to express themselves. So when you have that approach and style, the investment can't be just on my own personal branding. I'm not saying that should not be there, and it is there. Patients do come in for that, but it should not be the only reason why patients are coming in. So I strongly believe that as an organization, we are on our way to not just do personal branding for me. As I see it, we are 7 brands, which are the 7 doctors, operating under one umbrella, which is our clinic, AK Global.
Great. Great. Nicely answered. How do you see the importance of social media in contemporary dental care space?
Indispensable. And I never thought for the life of me, once I finished my MDS and Masters, that I'll have to make reels with patients. And that is the need these days. A lot of information and education is now consumed on social media. Mostly people consume entertainment on it, but I think it's very evident that search is done also on social media. Information and education is derived through social media. So it's not just about having a presence, it's for the heck of it or for the sake of ticking a box, but it's also about having a meaningful presence on social media. And there are many ways to go about it. It's not like we have a crazy number of following, but at least I do know, what I do know is that when people do come on our page, they would get the confidence and credibility of an organization that is a happy place, not just for the patients, but internally it has to be a happy place for it to be a happy place for patients. So I always say we are one of the happiest, largest growing smile communities in Gurgaon.
Yeah, you are. You are. And just double down on the social media. Once you work hard on social media, we get the leads too. Okay. And sometimes they also come in the middle of the night and we get business via
Lovely.
this.
Yeah.
Right. The great visibility, great connect internally, externally. Now, very important piece of healthcare ecosystem, that is the patient, and which keeps us moving.
Yeah.
So how do you recruit the patient? And more importantly, how do you retain the patients?
You have to break it down into, first of all, let it be known in your immediate neighborhood and community. Dentistry or a good dental practice should be about welcoming families and community. With a broader sense of family, there's community living, your neighborhood. In Gurgaon, we have micro ecosystems in the form of societies, each self-sustained and a micro community of its own. And then collectively, they form a neighborhood. So, of course, be known amongst them. Then when it comes to digital space, you have to do your Google ads, you have to have a website. I can't even imagine not having a website. So that goes without saying. Social media presence just adds that layer of credibility again, or just that added layer that, okay, how a look and feel, experience of patients, testimonials. And then, like I said, the patient walks in for a treatment, they must leave with an experience. So if you can ensure that at some level, or as much as possible, coupled with the fact that you have to do great work, you have to be a good communicator. Because, and all dentists would agree, that many times when you're doing a particular procedure, and I'll keep it very simple, you're doing a filling on an upper tooth at the back, the patient has no way to know that you've done a good filling.
Right.
Only you know that have you done the best filling that you could. Patient walked in, they said there's a hole, I can feel it. It gets filled, they go back. They have no idea how well that filling was done. Only you know. You have to be your best critique.
Right.
Or many times patients have no idea what's going on and they don't have pain. And you have to communicate that to them. So you have to educate. So I don't think dentistry is all about, is just limited to diagnosis, treatment planning, and executing the treatment. It's about educating, communicating is more important than those three things. Because that's what will actually communicate to your patient, why has it been done, how has it been done, and if you have tools to show how well it has been done, which is always a good way, intraoral cameras, whatever, all those things. If you make sure that all those touch points are addressed, then I think patient retention will happen all but naturally.
Why did I ask this question? Since I asked a couple of leading dentists across the country, and they said the attrition of the patient is the biggest challenge. They can pull in the patient with all kind of advertisement, other things, but again, since 32 teeth, it is not like a single heart. They will not come repeatedly. They will come repeatedly to you. And there is a lifetime value associated to a patient, right? Good teeth, they can eat well. Bad teeth, they cannot eat well. And eating is, food is having very important role in our country particularly, or anywhere. But attrition is more than 50-60%, wherein I have seen in your clinic, many of your patients have become unknowingly your brand ambassador, right?
Correct.
But you're working in a city where a lot of floating population is there. Good number of the customers are from the corporate world.
Correct.
Right. They change the cities very frequently.
True.
Right. Then creating a lifetime partner for dental treatment is a challenge for your patients, and sometimes creating stickiness around patient remains a challenge for you too.
True.
Right.
Very true.
How to address that situation, since Gurgaon will remain a city with close to 50% of the floating population.
True.
Right.
True. So you'll be surprised many times when a certain family, and maybe this is more limited to upper management, and we do a large portion of our patients does come from
Yes.
CXOs and upper management. But when a particular family leaves and another family comes in its place, many times they do pass on some of those primary touch points that every family needs, a pediatrician, a dentist. So you do end up getting inadvertently as a
Referrals from the
as a
patient, right?
referred to the family that's replacing the family that's moving.
Right.
Take care of itself to an extent, but it doesn't solve the problem completely, which is why marketing definitely has a place for us. And on a given month, if we stop our ad spend, it does reflect. I won't deny it. So that has to be consistent. So many things have to operate together. That's how you become, I would say, bigger than sum total of your parts. Everything has to work together.
Yep. Now, very pertinent piece comes here. You run a commercial organization end of the day,
Yeah.
right? Certainly, you deliver one of the noble cause, which is the patient outcome. You are delivering it something exceptionally well, and in most ethical way, I would say, as far as I know. Now, from a dentist and patient perspective, both, right? And your both the clinics are in one of the best of the location in Gurgaon. They are prime location. There is a cost associated with it. Your dentists are not like even the who are working in your clinic. They come. They look like they are well taken care of financially, otherwise too, and they come from good family, good academic background. Nothing is compromised in your clinic. Means I can say the cost of operating those kind of clinics is very high, right?
True. Very true.
However, when the patient comes to the clinic, right, many time their perspective is little confused when they come for smile correction and other things. So they confuse with cosmetic treatment and pure play dental as a healthcare treatment, right?
True.
And then here comes the negotiation, other pieces, and how do you manage that? This is a little tricky, but I thought I must ask you.
So, and I'm saying this as an orthodontist, where primarily you have to, many more often than not, patients would come to you cosmetically
Right.
to aesthetically improve how their smile looks. And their perception of how their smile looks is limited to when they smile, how many teeth are they seeing in the mirror? They just want those teeth addressed.
Right.
Because that's what's visible to them. And as long as that gets fixed, they're happy.
Right.
And they could have poor dental health in general, outside of the aesthetic concerns that they have. And I asked them a very simple question. Ma'am or sir, would you rather have straight teeth, the perfect smile, gleaming, glowing, and all the advantages that come with it, or would you rather have healthy teeth? And the two are sometimes mutually exclusive.
Right.
You can have perfectly aligned teeth, but you don't maintain hygiene, your gums are receding, you have cavities all over, teeth are on the verge of getting root canals and losing your teeth altogether. You have to only choose one of the two, either healthy teeth or a perfect smile. What would you choose? And even though the same patient who's walked in purely for a cosmetic play, purely for an aesthetic play, they will realize that that's of no use unless the teeth are healthy. It is the health of the tooth that has to be primarily addressed first. I'm perfectly okay if you don't get orthodontic treatment done.
I believe you have given a very strong message to the aspiring dentist, where sometimes they go into a situation where patients bargain on the treatment cost, like they bargain any other item which is non-healthcare. So this is the very thin line between the cosmetic side and the pure play healthcare side.
True.
We have spoken about you, we have spoken about the patient. So let's speak about the industry, where we all are stakeholders, almost a decade in dentistry while practicing. You can say 2 decades. Right?
True, very true.
What has remained constant, what is changing, and what is changing very rapidly in the dental ecosystem over these 2 decades?
What has remained constant is that no matter how much tech comes into our lives, and dentistry is one of the early adopters of tech amongst any healthcare industry. Something that will never change is the value of the interpersonal and human component that will always be a part of dental care. Even then, the treatment part of dentistry happens when? if I will ask all of you, it's when the patient lies down on the chair.
Right.
And when the patient opens his or her mouth, that's when treatment begins. And let's say we are in an era of robotic dentistry, and that's when the robot takes over. The robot's not going to get the patient to be comfortable, the anxiety that they come in with, the preconceived notions that they come with. Some of them with childhood scarring of a bad dental experience, some of them scarred by hearsay through a friend who had a wisdom tooth extraction that was complicated, and they come in with that fear. Maybe as a sibling, they saw something happening to their brother or sister on the dental chair, and they have that anxiety. How are you going to comfort that person? And if you're not a good communicator, if you're not educating them about their treatment, and these days they will come in with a lot of information. You type something on a AI platform, you'll almost get the right textbook answer. Means falling short of actually doing the procedure, they'll know almost everything based on how well read they are. Unless you're a good communicator and a builder of relationships, a rapport with your patients, the treatment is secondary. Because to get them to do treatment first, you have to do that part. So that part will always be constant, according to me. And what is ever changing is the other part now, which is the dispensation of treatment and how you go about it.
Right.
And in that, if you're not aware of where the fraternity is going, where the industry is going, where technology is going, you don't visit these exhibits that are there, where there's a showcase of technology and advancements, and you don't adopt it, then as amazing a communicator as you might be, that extra finesse that good technology brings with it, you'll probably miss out on that. So to be thought leaders and to be leaders in the fraternity, you have to ensure that that first part, you never lose sight of that, which is what makes us human, is to be social beings and to speak, to communicate, to comfort. Do that and adopt technology as soon as it's available and as soon as you can afford it. Maybe sometimes, like I said, drive your dad's hand-me-down car, but invest in technology.
This is a big message. A lot of things have changed. Only the human touch remains constant, and this will remain constant forever, I believe. How do you see the technology playing a role or technology evolving in next 20 years in the dentistry?
It's next to impossible to pinpoint or have a futuristic view of exactly where technology is going. I think 5 years back, we did not think that these AI platforms, which are talk of the town today, would be as robust, would be forming the backbone of so many industries as they are now. And they have probably been huge disruptors. Many professions find themselves at the crossroads because of that.
Right.
So hard to pinpoint exactly 20 years from now where tech could go. I definitely see dentistry not being limited to just, a better way to put it would be that, and I spoke about earlier, jack of all, master of none was okay. Then we moved to a space where being specialist in your own right was enough. Because, and many, for about a decade or two, specialists operated in the vacuum of their specialty. A patient comes, I do orthodontic treatment, patient leaves, maybe goes to the other specialist for other things. What technology has done now, which is enabled visualization. The primary stakeholder of his treatment is the patient. You're just the custodian or the medium of dispensing it. The main stakeholder is the patient themselves. It's their body, they are going through what they're opting for. Technology has made them, enabled them to be a part of the decision making process more than what they were before. Before, they would, you go, your family member has referred you or recommended a dentist to you, you would just take them, trust them completely on face value and go with it. Now, with technology how it is and visualization tools how they are evolving continuously, getting better, patients have the unique opportunity to be part of that decision making process, not to make the decision, but to be made aware of why a decision is being made, what is being done, and how they may look.
Dr. Aneesh, as we envisage India to become a developed nation by 2047,
Yeah.
and no developed nation can be a developed nation without having a good health to its citizen. particularly the oral health care becomes more pertinent since it is connected to the holistic well-being. How do you see India evolving as a developed nation in healthcare?
When we set out our practice about 8, 9 years back, a question kept coming to my mind that in our nation, when some good infrastructure is made, some new venture is embarked upon, it often gets its stamp of credibility by trying to correlate itself or trying to portray itself as per international standards, as per European standards, American standards. That's how we try and say state of the art as per international standards.
Right.
You see any clinic or any factory or anything which is physical in nature, can be seen, touched, felt. It tries to get its stamp of credibility basis of aping these standards.
Right.
Be very honest when I ask this back. I'll take the liberty to ask something back. And you travel the world being in your capacity with DER. Do you ever find any of these countries or regions making something and saying it's amazing, it's awesome as per Indian standards?
Nobody.
Has anyone ever said that?
No, not yet. I have not heard so far.
I have also not. And that's so unfortunate.
That is.
When something nice is made in India, we take pride in saying as per standard of some other country.
Right.
Or some other region. Sometimes it's just Europe or global or world in general, right? But we don't find anyone in any of those countries making something and saying as per Indian standards. Indian standard is not considered a thing.
Right.
So, and that is something we all have to change. And as custodians of dentistry in our country, I feel all of us at some level responsible and should take up this challenge to be that change in their own capacity. Yes, dentistry is a very high capex industry. Setting up practices can be expensive. I was very privileged and lucky that I got that entire support from my parents for the first practice. But they backed a vision. And that vision was that if it can happen somewhere else, it can happen here. And it should not be on the basis of some standard there. Why can't we, in our own right, set benchmarks? Why can't we be trendsetters for people to follow, both in terms of protocols, in terms of aesthetic and design, and of course in terms of the dispensation of treatment and outcomes. So, and it's very heartening to see. I'm talking about, this was something that was on my mind when 8, 9 years back when the first practice was being set up. And now it is so heartening to see the scale, the level of practices that are propping up, not just in the metro cities of our country, but all across.
Yes, this is there.
And you would know it better because you, being in your capacity, know where your machines are being installed, which in tier 2 cities, I believe some of our interactions, you have told me
much faster.
that some of your high-end imaging devices are being taken up more in tier 2 cities. That is showing the appetite for cutting-edge technology and equipment being installed in all across our country. So that change is, we are in the midst of that change. So fast forward to 2047, I see no reason why India should not be at the forefront of oral healthcare, of dental tourism, because there is no dearth of gifted clinicians in our country. I would go on to say probably we have the highest number of gifted clinicians. And I'm saying, and I'm not even talking about the total number of dentists. That for sure we have one of the
largest.
I'm putting a filter by saying gifted. Not all clinicians are gifted. So I'm talking about really clinicians with great handwork, great knowledge of their subject. We have so many of them. But for the longest time, we've had the dearth of capital. And I touched upon it about how AK Global Dent is run. I said we are a group practice. It's not a practice that I wanted to be portrayed as that it belongs to Dr. Aneesh Katyal, and then there are other doctors who work under that. We all work together, and they're all gifted clinicians. And a platform has been provided, and infrastructure has been provided. We invest in material, equipment, machinery. You know that part, of course, to enable those clinicians to do the best that they can. So, yeah, I see India being absolutely at the forefront of that. And why can't we be the trendsetters?
Yeah, the trends are being set across the industries, and the dentistry is not far behind. There are many dentists who are becoming innovators. They are contributing to the different kind of the innovations in dental products, dental therapies, and I'm sure by 2047 we will be contributing significantly to the innovation which is happening globally. Larger part of it will be coming from India, with the capacity and the capability sitting at home.
Yeah, and just a little bit of indulgence. So, fast forward to our second practice, and we had a nice, it's come out beautifully, it's shaped out well. And once we formally introduced it and showcased it to the world, and when I say world, it's when you put something on Instagram, it gets automatically de facto gets showcased to the world. So it was very humbling, very heartening, very pleasing to see DMs on our chat, on the design team's chat, people reaching out from Florida, from Brazil. Where is this clinic? Which country is it in? Which city? And then we'll say Gurgaon. And people, of course, sitting in Brazil, when they say India, they probably know Delhi, Mumbai. They don't know what Gurgaon is.
Right.
That was very humbling to get that kind of a curiosity and questioning that where is this practice. So it's I feel at some level we've come a long way from 8 years back when I first embarked on this vision that why should it be exported and export from some country to India. It should be from India to the world.
This is happening, Dr. Anish. The start is at many places. Many people have walked a little further, and I'm sure it will get accelerated in time to come. It is not only the Indian innovation is coming on the table, even the multinational companies are putting their resources in India. They are doubling down on the Indian talent, and these talents are developing not only for something which can be created by Indian organization only, but for the global organization. And I have been part of those organizations, and still in my capacity as an employee of a multinational company, we have started deploying people who can help us develop the product or improve our product from the Indian soil.
So that's
the journey
amazing.
has started.
That's lovely to see that it's happening in all aspects of the dental industry.
This is something amazing. Now we have spoken about you. I know you much more than I knew you before we started discussing today. I could understand a lot more about the patient behavior and industry per se. So now it is kind of a final phase of the podcast and the discussion here. And here I want to give some message from your side in two capacities.
Okay.
As a dentist, to the patients who might be in our audience, and the young dentists who are certainly watching out this to take inspirations from you. So message for both.
Okay.
As a dentist, and second, a message from an educator, since you key opinion leader, whatever you say with your capacity, learnings, your experience, that goes into contributing Indian dentistry. As an educator, I want some message from you to the aspiring dentist too.
Starting with the first two, with the prism of the patient, and then as a dentist myself, if I have to per se give a message to patients, I would say please be demanding of us as professionals. I won't even say demanding. I would say these days patients are well informed, they are well read. We welcome the informed patient. Back in the day, probably such was how practices were run, or how one was so used to. Maybe as doctors, with our prefix attached to our names, we are given a certain elevated position in society sometimes. That's, of course, very humbling to be at the receiving end of that respect and stature. But many times that would come with just a blind trust on the fact that doctor ne bola hai to sahi hai. Occasionally that trust can be, one has to justify that trust. That's a huge responsibility. One was probably not too used to being questioned, because it was assumed कि आप पेशेंट हो, हम डॉक्टर हैं, तो हम जो बोल रहे हैं वो सही है और आपको मानना है. Like you have to listen or agree to what we are saying. But now patients are more informed. They question. And we as professionals should not mind that. We should welcome it. So I feel we welcome the more informed patient because the more informed patient is more aware of what else is there. It challenges us as professionals to deliver the best version of our work. I'm not saying we need an informed patient to come in to do good work, but you always need a challenge to drive you. And if that challenge is internal, that's great. But when it's pushed externally also by your patient, then I would say even better. It's okay for patients to be well read these days. Don't come to conclusions. So, patients don't decide your treatment plan and diagnosis. Leave that to us. But ask us the tough questions, and we welcome that. And as a fraternity, we should welcome that. And that will only elevate the standard of care. Be great communicators. To dentists, I would say, because these days you can't just practice dentistry in isolation of just being a clinical field, but also you are at many levels running a business, if I can use that word. Our dental practices, holistically, at a macro level, are businesses in their own right. The perception sometimes is misconstrued that how can you run a successful clinical practice as well as successful business? You can, provided business decisions don't replace ethical decisions. So that would be the message to dentists. Do ethical dentistry, and if you're doing that well, high quality clinical excellence can definitely live hand in hand, and it goes hand in hand with a well operated business. I would say they complement each other rather than being oppositional to each other. Provided your heart is in the right place, ethically you're doing good dentistry, then in fact a good business, good SOPs, good protocols, well oiled organization which does ethical good clinical dentistry, they supplement each other. So that would be the message to dentalpreneurs, as we would like to call ourselves. So that is there. And at a personal level, you always should go back to why you chose that profession. So when you can identify why you chose that profession, your sense of purpose comes from your why. When you are in touch with your sense of purpose on a day-to-day level, then running multi-clinic organizations is not overwhelming, because then it's not pressure. It gives you that sense of purpose and to fulfill that purpose. Coming to my role as an educator, I take that very seriously, and I take that with probably the largest sense of responsibility than even in my role as running the two practices. Why? Because, and I always say, being an educator in all my sessions, I probably only spend 1% of my academic professional life being an educator. The rest, 99%, I am the audience consuming education or consuming some teaching that someone else is teaching. It could be in the form of actually being in an audience listening to someone at a conference, or it could be reading a journal or watching some educational content online on digital platforms. You're always a student of the field. I'm a student of aligner orthodontics every single day, even though I teach that. That's very, very important to realize that only 1% of my life is that of an educator, rest is consuming. So I'm only able to teach because someone taught me and I was open to learnings. And just because someone is sitting in the audience that particular day and I have the privilege of being mic'd up, suited up, and lights on me, doesn't make me a superior being or clinician. They have the right to question me and challenge me. Or in orthodontics, there are many ways to go about the same situation. The same malocclusion can be treated in many different ways. So you should be open to that. I am only able to teach because there were so many teachers who taught me. And when an introduction is given for me, it can be sometimes overwhelming for the people in the audience. And I always tell that I am 10 years into a journey. I would have failed as an educator if, when they are 10 years into their journey, they are not a better version than what I am 10 years into my journey. Because only if you can do that are you truly elevating the fraternity and the industry. So if I have reached a certain level or stature after 10 years, And now I am in the privileged position of being an educator. So when I am teaching, it's my right, moral right, to ensure that when they are 10 years into their journey, they are ahead of me than what I was in 10 years. And that can only come by sharing your mistakes and fallacies. Because all of us have made mistakes. And you can hide them and make nice presentations and give wow factors. But at the end of the day, when they go back to sleep, you might have a very wow case to show. But if you don't show your mistakes, in that moment, you will get photographs and applause. But when those same people sleep at night and they actually think, but what did I learn today? That case or that presentation was jaw dropping, but the mistakes weren't shared. Then it's of no use. But if you show your mistakes and tell them, you better not repeat those mistakes because I have made them, then that's truly giving them a lasting take home impact.
Your fellow dentist or the, you can say the aspiring dentist, not to reinvent the wheel repeatedly.
True.
Right. And save their time and
For sure.
help them progress the dentistry in totality. Right.
For sure.
Great. Good message to not only the fellow dentists who are aspiring, but to the dentists who are practicing, who are educator,
True.
and who are sitting in the similar league as you are sitting. Right. Since we all want to shine, we share our successes, but underneath there are a lot of failures which help us achieve those successes where we glorify ourselves. Dr. Aneesh, I have seen in every professional journey, irrespective of the industry, during the formative years, in my age, even the people who are younger than me, in India particularly, they double down on the professional front, do a lot of compromises on the personal side. And this has a lot of impact on the overall journey, right?
Very true.
Sometimes it is not felt in a short-term gains, progresses, but in long term, you feel like you have missed on a lot of fronts. Now, the India is changing, resources are changing, aspiring dentists are thinking a little differently. Gen Z will think certainly once they come into the profession much differently.
True.
Would you like to put some light on your journey where you would have made some compromises, if any? And what is the message for them?
True. I think a very, very pertinent question to kind of conclude the discussions because it has lasting impacts both professionally and personally and could potentially impact the decisions and choices you make to find that balance. It's very true. Dentistry is not exempt from the fact that in its formative years, you do need to spend those extra hours. Being available is important. Having said that, and I'll just touch upon a broader social perspective here. And you broadly gave categorizations of Gen Zs, Gen X, all of that. When you and I entered into work life, broadly speaking, people who are, in your case, clients, in my case, patients, were people my age or older. These are the people who are the ones who are eventually paying the bill. Let's put it that way. So when I entered the work field, primarily the people paying are people who belong to a generation where working 9 to 9 was expectation,
Right.
was routine, especially in a developing India,
Right.
where I am only because of the sacrifices by my parents, seeing them work 12-hour, 14-hour shifts. And when we would sometimes say give off on a certain day or give, say, more holidays than what is usually expected, I would sometimes even get that question at home from mom and dad that in our organizations, we are not off today. We are working today,
Right.
but you have given off today to in your practice or you're closed. So we become a subject of, of that environment.
Right.
So when the next generation of dentists come in, the youngsters of today become bread earners of tomorrow and they themselves become patients. So, of course, their expectation can't be something which they themselves don't do. And I think as dentists, we get sucked into this tendency of wanting to be available all the time at odd hours for our patients. And we take pride in being available before office hours and after office hours. We also, I'm guilty of that. I'm not saying I'm not. But what happened during COVID was we consolidated work hours into, we removed the lunch break as a break, and we were not open till late. So we start a little later. We right now effectively practice 11 to 7 or 10:30 to 7, but we make it a point not to have appointments after 6 so that we wrap up by 7. We are open 7 days a week, but then there's a rotation of offs and leave. So it's not like we are working 7 days a week. Hopefully, we can, have some more balance on that front also. So you have to make these conscious decisions regarding availability also. So that balance will come from that in many ways.
So we are evolving. Like, as you said, the parents were used to work, and I was just connecting. My father used to work 2 shifts. You're working with the industry. I can just think about he used to work 16, 17 hours on some of the occasions.
True.
And similarly, we were trained to replicate the same thing. But as India evolving, exposure to the other things too, the things are changing. The message to the young dentist that you need not to go through the same rigor, but doubling down on the professional front always enable better the personal front. If you are successful on professional front, then certainly you take that success home too, right? But don't put everything on the professional. Just keep something for personal.
Yeah, and of course, the more you invest into profession, it gives back. And a lot of our professional success in our work comes from your personal interactions in spheres which are not professional at all.
Yes.
You can call it passive networking.
Right.
I could be playing a game of pickleball or tennis and make good friends. That's my indulgence in my personal time. And you're making good friends. Of course, one asks, what does one do? And you introduce yourself as a dentist with a practice. And because they trust you as a person or they have a rapport with you as a person, their instant trust comes in your profession as well. One is not playing a sport with the purpose of helping your profession. You're playing a sport because you must to stay fitter, healthier. For me, sport is an outlet. For others, it could be gymming, it could be dance, anything. And that's the beauty of our profession, that without realizing it, when you're actually investing in your personal life, it has a inadvertent, an organic ripple effect professionally also. And that all just boils down to, again, and I'm being probably sounding like a, repetitive and a broken tape recorder of interpersonal relationships and relationships with people and the friendships you make. So invest in those, and automatically your personal life will be as enriched. Ripple effect of that will be enrichment of your professional life also.
You touched upon something where I was just reflecting. Ophthalmologist is one of my best friend.
True.
Right. We meet very often. We run sometime together.
Okay.
Similarly, physician is another good friend.
Okay.
Right. Whenever he needs a shoulder to cry, he comes to me. Or if I need some shoulder to cry, I go to him.
Okay.
Non-threatening environment.
Of course.
Right. Different profession, sitting at a different places.
Yeah.
Similarly, pediatrician is a family friend who treats my kid.
Yes.
Other specialties are also similarly. The people who are treating my parents, they have become my friend, or they were the friends, right? We repose our trust over there, right? Even if we are getting a treatment from somewhere else, the friends are friends. The second opinion or the first opinion come from them. True. Great. So this is a good message. Social skills, social networking is your friends are your best of the ambassadors. You treat them well, improve your smile, their smile, and spread smiles.
Yeah. And in my case, get fitter along the way if you're taking up sport.
Yes, so of course, that is the best thing.
Yeah.
For me, it was good learning about you, more learning about you as a friend, as a colleague. But for the audiences, there are a lot of insights which we created together today that will help many young dentists or aspiring dentists to shape their careers.
I hope so.
And certainly to the patients, if they are in our audience, they will be making the right choices in treatment, in the dentist they choose, and the adherence of the treatment when they progress on their improvement of their smile journey. Thank you. Thanks again.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to everyone who has invested their time watching this episode till the end. I'm sure the insight generated out of this conversation will help many young and aspiring dentists to shape their careers. For the patients who have watched this episode, they will certainly use these insights to select the dentist who will help them brighten up their smile over the period of time. I request all of you to subscribe this channel and stay tuned for many more meaningful and engaging discussions from the world of dentistry. Your feedback is very valuable to us. It helps us serve the community better. Please write to us. It helps us improve always.